Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining us again on our channel where we dive deep into the most fascinating stories of rare coins, collectibles, and the treasures that can be hiding right in plain sight in your pocket change. And today we're going to explore one of the most astonishing and intriguing cases in American numismatics, a story that has captured the attention of collectors, investors, and everyday people alike. Because when we talk about a coin that originally had a face value of only 1 cent yet goes on to sell for over $1.5 million at auction, we are not just talking about a small piece of metal, we are talking about a slice of history, a remarkable era, and an almost unbelievable journey that transforms an ordinary penny into a world-famous rarity. So sit back, relax, and get ready as we unravel the tale of the 1976 1-cent coin that shocked the numismatic community and continues to mesmerize those who dream of discovering treasure in their own change. And the reason behind its astronomical value lies not in gold, silver, or platinum content, because as we know, the Lincoln cents from that era were simply struck in a bronze composition of copper, tin, and zinc, but rather in the mysterious and highly prized world of minting errors and mistakes. Anomalies that should never have happened yet somehow slipped through the rigid controls of the U.S. Mint and found their way into circulation. And as collectors know, error coins can range from minor and hardly noticeable imperfections to dramatic and breathtaking mistakes that make seasoned experts pause in admiration. And the 1976 Lincoln cent we are discussing belongs to that elite category, a category where rarity, curiosity, and desirability converge, creating a perfect storm that drives collectors into bidding wars and pushes prices into the stratosphere. Now let's take a closer look at what makes a coin like this so extraordinary. Because when we say errors and mistakes, we are not talking about just a small nick or scratch, we are talking about the kind of minting blunders that defy logic, such as double strikes, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, transitional errors, die clashes, broad strikes, and even combinations of multiple errors all in one coin. And in the mid-1970s, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents to satisfy the enormous demand for commerce across the country, with the bicentennial celebrations of 1976 adding to the heavy workload as special quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins were being struck with dual dates to mark 1776 to 1976. So in the midst of this production frenzy, mistakes had more chances to slip through, and that is exactly what happened with the 1-cent coin we are focusing on, because instead of being struck normally on its proper planchet with the usual dies, this coin exhibited an array of anomalies that made it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And while each coin's story is unique, the 1976 1-cent that brought in over $1.5 million is believed to have been struck on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination, possibly a dime, or even a foreign coin blank, creating an error known as a wrong planchet strike. And the implications of this are profound because a Lincoln cent design appearing on the wrong metal type not only creates a weight discrepancy but also a visual oddity that can be detected by sharp-eyed collectors. And when you hold such a coin in your hand, you immediately sense something unusual because it does not weigh like a typical cent, it does not ring like a typical cent, and its diameter may be slightly off. And in addition to this dramatic wrong planchet error, experts speculate that the coin may have also shown other striking mistakes such as being slightly off-center, creating a crescent-like blank space on one edge, or displaying doubling in certain areas of the design, which is known as a double die error, where the elements, like the date, the motto, "In God We Trust," or Lincoln's profile show a ghost-like repetition, making it even more desirable. And to understand the gravity of such mistakes, one must remember that error coins are essentially accidents that occur in tiny numbers compared to the billions of perfect coins released. And when you combine that microscopic rarity with the enduring fascination people have for coins that defy expectations, you get a recipe for immense collector demand. So when this coin surfaced at auction, experts authenticated it, graded it, and verified its anomaly. And then the bidding began. And what started as curiosity quickly turned into a heated battle among collectors who knew they might never see such a coin again, driving the final hammer price to over $1.5 million. A sum that boggles the mind considering the coin's humble beginnings as a 1-cent piece meant for everyday transactions like buying candy, making change, or rolling up in banks, and yet here it was, elevated into the pantheon of numismatic legends. Now let's explore why collectors are willing to pay such staggering sums for error coins, because beyond the thrill of owning something unique, there is the psychological allure of rarity. The knowledge that only one or two examples may exist in the entire world, and when you think about how many billions of cents were minted in 1976, the idea that only one coin like this slipped through transforms it from common currency into a priceless artifact, much like a painting by a master artist or a rare manuscript. And collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying history, prestige, and bragging rights, knowing that their coin becomes the centerpiece of any collection. And let us not forget that the condition of the coin also plays a pivotal role in its valuation, because while an error coin is valuable even in circulated condition, one preserved in high grade with minimal wear and sharp details commands even higher prices. And the 1976 $1 million cent was believed to be in exceptional condition, amplifying its allure. And when we talk about possibilities, we must also consider the fascinating world of undiscovered treasures. Because while one example has already surfaced and made headlines, who's to say there are not others still hidden in drawers, old jars of coins, or forgotten piggy banks? And that is why collectors and everyday hobbyists alike continue to examine their change with magnifying glasses, hoping to stumble upon the next $1 million penny, because the US Mint, despite its technological advancements, has always produced the occasional blunder. And history has shown us that these mistakes slip out unexpectedly, from the famous 1943 copper cent to the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent, from the 1969 double-die obverse to the 1972 double-die. And each of these has captured headlines and skyrocketed in value, so the 1976 1-cent worth over $1.5 million joins an elite family of legendary error coins, solidifying its place in the chronicles of numismatics. And let's not forget the cultural backdrop of 1976, America's bicentennial, a year filled with patriotism, commemorations, and special coin issues, making the discovery of such an error cent from that year all the more symbolic. Because while millions of Americans were collecting bicentennial quarters with drummer boys and celebrating 200 years of independence, this little cent was quietly carrying a mistake that would only be realized decades later. And as with all rare coins, speculation abounds as to how exactly such an error escaped detection, with theories ranging from overworked mint employees accidentally feeding the wrong planchets into the presses, to experimental strikes using foreign coin blanks being mixed into production. And while the exact cause may never be known, the beauty of numismatics lies in the mystery, the endless possibilities that ignite our imagination and keep collectors searching. And what makes this story even more captivating is how such coins often resurface, sometimes discovered by complete amateurs who simply notice something odd and decide to have it checked, and other times uncovered by seasoned collectors who know precisely what to look for. And this unpredictability ensures that the dream of finding a valuable error remains alive for everyone, regardless of age or experience. Because unlike art masterpieces or ancient artifacts locked in museums, coins are still out there in circulation, hiding in jars, collections, or inherited estates, waiting for discovery. And the lesson here is clear: never underestimate the humble penny, because while most are worth only a cent, a rare few can turn into life-changing fortunes. And when you think about how a 1-cent coin could be sold for over $1.5 million, it truly redefines the phrase treasure in your pocket. And it also reinforces the importance of education and awareness in coin collecting. Because the difference between tossing aside a coin that looks odd and realizing it is worth a fortune lies in knowledge, patience, and curiosity. And just when you think the story of $1 million pennies ends with the 1976 example, we move to yet another incredible tale, this time involving a 1971 Lincoln 1-cent coin that stunned the numismatic world by reaching an even higher valuation of nearly $2 million, proving once again that small mistakes at the US Mint can create fortunes out of pocket change. And the 1971 1-cent is especially intriguing because unlike the bicentennial era coins that were struck during a time of massive commemorative production, the early 1970s were considered a relatively ordinary period for coinage, with the mint operating under standard conditions, producing billions of cents annually. And yet, in the middle of this so-called routine output came a mistake so rare and so dramatic that it transformed a simple penny into one of the most sought-after treasures in all of numismatics, and in this case, the error is believed to involve a powerful combination of a double die obverse alone, with a possible wrong planchet situation, creating a coin that not only displayed unmistakable doubling on critical features but also weighed differently from standard issues, immediately alerting experts to the fact that something unusual had occurred in 1971. And if we break this down further, the double die obverse is one of the most famous and beloved error types among collectors, because it is created during the hubbing process when the working die receives more than one impression in slightly different positions, resulting in dramatic doubling of letters, numbers, and design features, and in the case of the 1971 cent, this doubling could be seen on the date, the word Liberty, and the motto, In God We Trust, making it visually stunning, the kind of error that jumps out even to the naked eye. And when such an error combines with other anomalies such as being struck on a foreign or experimental planchet, you suddenly have a coin that checks every box for rarity, desirability, and mystery. And that is exactly what catapulted this particular 1971 1 cent to the $2 million mark when it was authenticated, graded, and auctioned, because unlike minor errors that may only carry a modest premium, a coin that combines major mistakes and remains in outstanding condition becomes a true numismatic unicorn. And the reason this coin achieved such astronomical value is partly due to the fact that collectors are fascinated by the unpredictability of error coins, and partly due to the visual impact of the doubling, because when you hold a normal cent side by side with this 1971 rarity, the differences are unmistakable, with bold, shadow-like outlines that appear as though the coin is echoing its own design. A ghost image that never should have existed yet stands boldly on the surface as proof of human error in a mechanical process. And the backstory of how this coin may have escaped detection is equally captivating, because the mint in 1971 was modernizing its processes and working to keep up with demand, and in that flurry of production, a flawed die may have been used for a short period before being retired, and among the countless billions of cents struck that year, only a handful with this extreme doubling survived, and among those, the one with the added anomaly of being on the wrong metal planchet became a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And just like with the 1976 cent, the auction for this 1971 double die rarity was fierce, with advanced collectors and investors driving the price higher and higher, until it finally settled at nearly $2 million, cementing its place as one of the most expensive error pennies of all time. And the significance of this cannot be overstated, because while the 1955 double die cent and the 1969 double die cent are famous and highly valuable in their own right, the 1971 cent pushed the boundaries even further, proving that even in a relatively modern year, a coin could carry errors so dramatic and so rare that it would rewrite records. And this naturally raises the question of how many other 1971 cents with similar anomalies might still be hiding in circulation, tucked away in change jars or overlooked in collections. And the answer is both thrilling and haunting, because experts believe the surviving population of such coins is vanishingly small. Yet the possibility that another undiscovered example exists keeps collectors searching diligently, checking every 1971 penny they come across under magnification, hoping for lightning to strike twice. And what makes the 1971 story even more powerful is the way it highlights the delicate balance between perfection and imperfection at the mint. Because while billions of coins are struck to precise standards, the occasional slip creates a window into the human and mechanical side of production, and those slips become priceless artifacts, teaching us about the minting process while offering immense rewards to the few lucky enough to find them. And when you consider the psychological impact of such a discovery, it's easy to understand why people obsess over these coins, because the dream of turning a single cent into millions resonates deeply with the human imagination. And this is why the 1971 1 cent valued at $2 million is more than just a coin, it is a symbol of possibility. A reminder that treasure can hide in plain sight, and a testament to the enduring fascination people have with error coins, and while it now rests securely in the hands of a collector who likely cherishes it as the crown jewel of their collection, its story continues to inspire millions around the world, sparking curiosity, fueling searches, and ensuring that the humble penny remains a coin of wonder, not just for its role in commerce but for its potential to change lives when struck with mistakes. And so, as we finish the saga of the 1971 Lincoln cent that achieved $2 million, we are reminded once more that the world of numismatics is not static, it is alive with mystery, discovery, and adventure, and who knows, perhaps in the years to come, new discoveries will emerge from ordinary pocket change, setting new records and continuing the legacy of the penny as the most surprising coin in American history. And just when it seems like the record-breaking values of rare pennies could not climb any higher, we enter the remarkable chapter of the 1968 Lincoln 1 cent, a coin that stunned collectors and historians alike when it achieved a jaw-dropping valuation of $3 million. Establishing itself as one of the most valuable era coins ever discovered and proving once more that even in what appears to be an ordinary, modern era of U.S. coinage, the tiniest oversight or unusual circumstance at the mint can transform a humble piece of copper into a multimillion-dollar artifact, and the Denver Mint in 1968 was bustling with activity, producing massive quantities of coins to meet the country's needs, with Lincoln cents flowing in the hundreds of millions, most of them utterly indistinguishable from each other, uniform, flawless, and destined for pockets, tills, and banks. Yet amid this ocean of sameness, one coin emerged that carried anomalies so spectacular that it instantly elevated itself above the rest, and experts studying the 1968 cent that would later achieve $3 million identified multiple layers of error, beginning with the fact that it was struck using a double die obverse, one of the most dramatic varieties known, where letters and numerals on the front of the coin display bold, unmistakable doubling, so clear that even casual observers could not miss it, with the word Liberty, the motto, In God We Trust, and the date 1968 itself showing ghost-like outlines, as though the design had been printed twice on top of itself, creating an almost three-dimensional effect that mesmerizes the eye. And while double dies are famous and collectible in their own right, what set this particular coin apart was the possibility that it was struck on a transitional planchet, meaning that instead of the normal bronze composition of the time, it may have been struck on a blank intended for a different denomination, or even a foreign coin, producing unusual coloration, weight, and metallic content, which in turn made it not just an error but a spectacular anomaly that should never have existed. And when you combine the doubling with a wrong planchet or transitional strike, you create a once-in-a-lifetime rarity, the kind of coin that turns into the centerpiece of any collection and drives seasoned collectors into fierce competition, and beyond its physical errors. The 1968 cent carries historical significance, because the late 1960s was a time of transition in American coinage, with silver being phased out of circulating coins, the mint experimenting with different compositions, and new dies being prepared under heavy production pressures, so the possibility of mistakes increased, and while most errors from this period were minor and quickly discarded, the few that escaped capture became hidden treasures, waiting decades to be recognized for their true worth. And when this particular coin finally surfaced and was authenticated, experts confirmed the magnitude of its rarity, assigning it a grade that reflected its excellent preservation and showcasing the dramatic doubling that made it so visually stunning. And when it was offered at auction, anticipation was electric, with bidders prepared to spend fortunes for the chance to own what was now hailed as the ultimate 1960s-era penny. And the final hammer price of $3 million sent shockwaves through the numismatic world, rewriting record books and capturing headlines, as people marveled at how a 1-cent piece struck in Denver could rival fine art, gemstones, and historical documents in value. And what makes this story so compelling is the way it blends chance, history, and human curiosity. Because a penny is something most of us take for granted, yet in rare instances, it becomes a symbol of luck and fortune beyond imagination. And the 1968 cent valued at $3 million stands as a shining example of that magic, and collectors today still pore over their 1968 pennies with magnifying glasses, searching for any trace of the famous doubling, any clue that they might be holding a similar treasure. And while the known surviving population of such extreme examples may be counted on a single hand, the dream persists, fueling the passion of hobbyists everywhere. And what makes the allure even stronger is the knowledge that these coins often escape notice for decades, sometimes sitting in jars or collections unnoticed until a sharp-eyed individual recognizes something unusual, meaning that the next great discovery could still be out there, waiting to shock the world once again. And the story of the 1968 cent also reinforces the importance of authentication and grading, because when values climb into the millions, only the most rigorous examination by trusted experts can confirm the legitimacy of a coin, ensuring that buyers are investing in a genuine piece of numismatic history. And this adds yet another layer of fascination, because behind every coin lies a story not just of its creation but of its discovery, verification, and the dramatic moments when it is unveiled at auction. And for the 1968 1 cent, those moments culminated in a spectacle that continues to inspire collectors and newcomers alike, a reminder that treasure does not always come in the form of gold bars or ancient relics. Sometimes it comes in the form of a small copper coin, overlooked for decades, until its errors and mistakes are revealed as miracles worth millions. And so as we reflect on the 1968 Lincoln cent, valued at $3 million, we see once again how the humble penny, often dismissed as insignificant, carries within it the power to astonish, to captivate, and to change lives, standing as proof that in the world of numismatics, nothing is ever truly ordinary. And every coin has the potential to tell a story of wonder, luck, and unimaginable value.